Here They Come.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the second season of Here They Come. I'm Kate Lockhart.
I'm Paul Ramlow.
This year we're going to start our first episode with the Dan Patch Awards. It's that time of year when the United States Harness Writers Association sends out the ballots. The writers get to think, deliberate, try to decide who they feel should win the honors for each of the divisions. And Paul, if you would, tell us a little bit about how the process of voting works.
Okay, the eligible members of the United States Harness Writers Association and the North American Harness Racing Secretaries get their ballots, and they return them to moi, who counts the ballots, and they will be released the finalists on December 28th, Tuesday after Christmas, for the 12 divisional championships. And of course, Trotter of the Year, Pacer of the Year, and Horse of the Year will not be announced at that time. They will be announced at the USTA banquet in Florida at the end of February.
Well, Paul, you and I both took a look at the divisions, some of which are tighter than others, and got to take a rundown who we thought would be the big contenders this year. What do you think? Let's start with, on the pacing side, the 2-year-old colts and geldings.
Yeah, I looked at the 2-year-old colts and geldings and saw 3 horses I thought had a very legitimate chance of getting a lot of votes this year. Big Jim, Feel Like a Fool, Mystician. Big Jim won a couple of the biggest marquee races, the Breeders' Crown and the Governor's Cup. Feel Like a Fool won the Matron and was second in the Metro. Mystician was the Metro champion and also raced a lot against Ontario Sire Stakes Gold competition. I think that trio is going to be very tight this year as far as who gets the Dan Patch Award.
Yeah, Big Jim was certainly impressive. He's the top money winner in this division, trained by James Friday Dean. Did most of his racing up in Canada. But I have to say, I saw Feel Like a Fool down in Lexington. I'm not sure he's going to win the division, but I think he's a horse to look out for next year. It really impressed me. He paced in 1:49 and 4. It was the fastest mile by any 2-year-old gelding in 2010. So he's an impressive horse.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the 2-year-old filly pacers. I think this is definitely a 2-filly race, if you will. We have See You at Peeler's, the unbeaten Breeders' Crown champion, who was 13 for 13. Spent a lot of time racing on the New York Sire Stakes circuit for trainer Jimmy Takter. Then you have the Canadian competitor, Idyllic, Casey Coleman's trainee. She was the richest in this category and captured a couple of major races in the She's a Great Lady and the 3 Diamonds. I think these two will have a very fierce competition for the Dan Patch Award.
Absolutely, Paul. It was nice. They did race against each other in the Breeders' Crown. See You at Peeler's had the best of Idyllic in that race. But I don't know. If I had to vote, it'd be a tough one for me to choose between these 2 fillies.
Moving on to 3-year-old colt pace, what more can you say about Rock and Roll Heaven? 16 out of 21 this year, $2.1 million in earnings. Ended up his season on a 10-race winning streak, which included victories in the Little Brown Jug, the Messenger, the Matron, the Tattersalls, the Battle of the Brandywine. Just an absolutely unbelievable season for Rock and Roll Heaven. But let's not forget about One More Laugh, who made over $1.5 million this year as well. 2 super tough 3-year-old colts.
Oh, no question. I have to say, at the beginning of the year, One More Laugh was my pick for this division. He was really the horse I thought was going to sort of step up and show what he was worth, and he did. It was just that Rock and Roll Heaven was that much better this year. One More Laugh won the Meadowlands Pace and beat Rock and Roll Heaven in that race, but as you said, Rock and Roll Heaven hasn't lost since finishing second to Rock and Image in the Holmes on Hambletonian Day, so he's just had a fantastic season, and I feel like he's got this division locked up.
In 3-year-old filly pacers, Kate, we had 2 horses that both had unbelievable seasons. Put on a show in Western Silk. Put on a show, the Chris Ryder trainee won the Valley Forge, the Simcoe, the Nadia Lobel, the Breeders' Crown. Western Silk, the Fan Hanover, and the Jugette. Both definitely worthy of this award, but only one's going to win.
Yeah, this is another tight one, Paul. Both these fillies won over $1 million this year. Western Silk, we saw her in the Jugette here down the road in Delaware. She was certainly impressive. Put on a show, raced fantastically, winning the Breeders' Crown. It'll be a toss-up. It'll be interesting to see. A lot like the 2-year-old fillies, it's a 2-filly race here.
Moving on to the horse pace, this is going to be very interesting. There's a trio of horses just had outstanding seasons. The Ron Burke pair have won the West and foiled again, and of course Larry Remen's Shark Jester. Shark Jester was on pace to be Horse of the Year early on in the season. He won races like the Houghton, the Graduate, the Bettor's Delight, the Dan Patch. Then later on in the year, won the West, came on, winning the Breeders' Crown, the Canadian Pacing Derby, the Indiana Pacing Derby, and foiled again quietly, made a lot of money this year, winning the Levy, the Quillen, the Woodbine Gold Cup. you could pick from any of those three, just outstanding older horses.
Oh, it made for an excellent season of free-for-all pacing races, and I just really enjoyed watching these three go at it. Like you said, Shark Jester started off so well, and then unfortunately suffered an injury in the Breeders' Crown. And if he hadn't had that setback, I'm not sure if he'd continue to win some more races later in the season, add to his bankroll. But all three of these horses are fantastic. Last year, this was the most exciting division to watch, and I'll be curious to see what happens this year.
In the pacing mares, Dream Fair Eternal had the best season of all, I think, winning the Art Escape, the Milton, the Breeders' Crown, the Forest City. Tug River Princess also won a couple of major stakes, the Roses Are Red and the Golden Girls. I think these two are the leading competitors for that division.
I do too. I think Dream Fair Eternal might have the edge here. She's the clear leader in terms of number of wins and also money won. It'll be interesting to see.
Let's move on to the trotters now, Kate, and start off with the freshman pacing colts. Again, I think three horses had really top seasons in this class. Pastor Stephen, who won the Wellwood, Man of Many Missions, the Breeders' Crown champion, and Blue Porsche, who won the Valley Victory. The three of them split the major races in this category, or three of the major races in this category, and I think they're going to split a lot of votes among the electorate.
Yeah, those were the three that clearly stood out to me. As you said, they're all close in terms of money won. Pastor Stephen led a little bit with just over 600,000. Man of Many Missions and Blue Porsche both won over 400,000. It's a tight one. It'll be interesting to see who pulls it out here.
As far as the two-year-old trotting fillies go, Chris Dream was 7 for 8 this year and is the richest horse in that class. She won the Goldsmith Maid and the Peaceful Way up in Canada. The only thing that may hurt her is she did not race in the Breeders' Crown, and in her absence, Martini on the Rocks was the champion there. We also have the Jimmy Tactor trainee, That's Not My Name, who won the Mary Annabelle. So there's going to be some interesting competition among the freshman filly trotters.
So we'll see what happens, but this is not one of the more tight divisions as far as I'm concerned. Another one that's interesting is the 3-year-old Colton Gelding trotters. Lucky Chucky sort of dominated the division, but we had Muscle Massive and Wishing Stone coming in and winning a couple of the big races this year as well.
Absolutely three terrific trotters there, but I think Lucky Chucky's probably going to come up a winner in this class too.
Now, as we move over to the filly side, the 3-year-old fillies, this was another interesting division where you just sort of the money was spread over, among several sort of interesting picks here. Who did you think, who stood out to you, Paul?
I think this is going to be the tightest vote of all 12 categories. Ultimate Cameron won the Elegant Image, was second in the Hamiltonian Oaks. Bar Slide won the Hamiltonian Oaks, the Joe Holloway trainee. Impressive Kemp came up big in the Breeders' Crown. They're very close in money. They're very close, again, in the major races they've won. I think this is going to be a very, very tightly contested category.
Yeah, those three certainly stood out to me. Costa Rica also jumped off the page a little bit. She won 6 of her 17 starts in the year, including 3 late in the season. But as you mentioned, Bar Slide really jumped out at me during the Hamiltonian Oaks, and Ultimate Cameron's been there all season long as well. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out.
Maybe the toughest race, though, among the trotters is because of the quality of the older trotting horses. My gosh, Enough Talk, Sand Pail, Lucky Jim, Slave Dream. Major stakes wins for all of these. Enough Talk won the Titan Cup and the Breeders' Crown. Sand Pail, the Maple Leaf Trot. Lucky Jim won a trio of stakes, the Credit Winner, the Sumac Lad, the Alleridge. Slave Dream came down and won the Nat Ray. What a great group of older trotters this is. And boy, I'd be hard-pressed to just pick one to say he had the best year.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a little different than last year where Lucky Jim just dominated the field, and it was nice to see. It's always good to have excellent competition to watch great racing, and it made for a fun year of races.
But we did have a dominating performance on the other side of the older trotting class, Kate, with Buckeye St. Pat, the Armbro Flight, the Peretti Matchmaker, the Breeders' Crown, and Beat Enough Talk in the American National. What an outstanding year for one of the top trotting mares of all time.
Oh, she's fantastic. Always been fun to watch. It was nice to see that she was able to go out on top for Tim Tetrick and Ron Burke by beating the boys in Enough Talk in the American National down at Balmoral. So it's, like you said, it was a fantastic season for the mare, and it's clear to me she's going to win that division hands down.
The one thing I don't know about, though, who trotter of the year will be. Any number of horses can win that category. I think we're pretty well certain of Rock and Roll Heaven being pacer of the year. But it's going to be a very interesting and contentious battle for Trotter of the Year, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I think you look at Lucky Chucky and his consistency, sort of race in, race out this year. You look at Buckeye St. Pat, who just absolutely dominated her division. You can make a good argument for several trotters for Trotter of the Year.
So, Kate, we'll know a little bit more on Tuesday, December 28th, when the Dan Patch Award finalists are announced by the United States Harness Riders Association. And, of course, the winners, Trotter of the Year, Horse of the Year, Pacer of the Year, will also be announced on Sunday, February 27th at the Night of Champions dinner in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, that wraps up this week's episode of Here They Come. I'm Kate Lockhart.
And I'm Paul Ramlow. We'd also like to thank our engineer, Rich Johnston, for all his help. We look forward to seeing you all again next week for another exciting episode of Here They Come.